A new Breadman Bread Maker I ordered online for my wife's birthday just arrived, so let's unbox it, take a look at what came in the box, and check out its first use. It features 14 baking programs, a unique collapsible stirring paddle, a compartment for adding fruits or nuts during the cooking cycle, and a bevy of widely mixed reviews, which we will discuss in this video. First, let's take a close-up look at this unit. That's nice and clean, easy to understand. There's your 14 settings there. This is your little compartment for adding ingredients like raisins to raisin bread, nuts, things like that. Inside, we're looking at a standard 2-pound bread machine baking pan with a heralded Breadman collapsible stirring paddle. The collapsible paddle, which causes so much consternation for people. We'll see if it's a good idea or not, but the idea is that it's supposed to stir knead and then collapse so that you don't pull a big chunk out of the bottom of your bread. But overall, this is a very nice, clean looking unit. Now let's look at a side view. There's not much to see here other than how nice this unit's stainless steel finish looks, though just by the small amount that I have handled it so far, I can see that fingerprints will need to be wiped from it regularly. You can see the power on-off button here at the back left corner, and check out the unit dimensions. I should also mention that this model is only available in this stainless steel finish. Breadman Bread Makers are a part of Spectrum Brands Inc., which also distributes George Foreman grills as well as the Black & Decker brand, among a number of their other brand names. They are available from most major retailers across North America, where you will sometimes see them listed as Black & Decker Breadman. When reading the online reviews for this unit, you cannot help but be struck by the number of dissenting voices, despite the majority of purchaser opinions being positive. The negative user opinions seem to be mostly centering around three prevailing themes. One, in various complaints about the overall quality of the unit, or two, how the fruit and nut dispenser does not consistently work properly, and three, the most predominant theme, in how the collapsible paddle seems to be flimsy and does not always function as intended. I simply do not agree with number one. I think the overall build quality of this unit is very good for the price. So I will concentrate on numbers 2 and 3, especially 3. My first impression of the collapsible paddle was, what were the designers thinking? But I did attempt to reserve judgment until I tried it. For my very first use of this unit, I picked an oatmeal bread recipe for a 2-pound loaf out of the user manual. It turned out okay as far as edible bread goes, but in this case the collapsible paddle did not collapse fully, leaving an indentation only marginally better than a rigid stirring paddle would have. At the same time, the top of this loaf really looked brittle. Another frequent lament I noticed in the online reviews. But when I made a delicious turkey sandwich with mayo, lettuce, and tomato, all was forgiven. But I did discard the manual for the time being to try one of my go-to bread recipes. Next, we will be making a no-fail bread recipe that I've used in literally dozens of different bread machine models. You may have seen this 2-pound Boston brown bread recipe in some of my other bread machine videos. And there are all the ingredients all set up and ready to go, including the yeast. Everything's measured out, and here we go. This is a whole wheat bread recipe, so we will choose number 3 on the menu, which will show up in the LCD display. The time is also determined by the menu setting, while loaf size and crust darkness are determined by individual selector buttons. So we push the start button and this is what we hear. Wait, what? Nothing's happening. And this is because many menu settings have a rest period, which allows the bread pan and its contents to warm up to the right temperature before the mixing and kneading processes begin. Not knowing this is common among bread machine novices, so when you see an online review like this one, don't laugh. Okay, maybe you can laugh a little, because if you do not happen to come across this foible of bread machines in the user manual, it is not otherwise intuitive. And there is the second loaf I attempted, some Boston brown bread on the medium darkness setting. It's absolutely perfect to look at while it's still in the pan. I've just dumped this upside down for the time being. As you can see, the collapsible paddle did not quite collapse this time, and the hole it left in the bottom of the loaf is not much different than what you would end up with from a rigid paddle. I'm beginning to suspect that the collapsible paddle selling point is much ado about nothing. Now it is time to try the fruit and nut dispenser with a recipe again taken from the manual. As I was reading this recipe page, I noticed this. Saint Batman Santon, which of course translates from French to Holy Jumpin' Batman. The fruit and nut dispenser has a capacity limited to 2/3 of a cup, which is not enough for most 2-pound loaves of any fruit or nut bread that I know of. Here we are looking at the fruit and nut dispenser being used at full capacity with 1/3 cup of raisins and 1/3 cup of crushed walnuts for a 1.5 pound loaf of raisin bread. And of course it didn't work properly with the ingredients getting stuck in the dispenser, but no worries, this unit emits 10 annoyingly loud beeps halfway through the cycle, so you are not likely to miss the point to add those types of ingredients. You can see where the collapsible paddle actually worked as expected, or worked as it's supposed to. It's not a bad looking loaf. It is a 1.5 pound loaf though, something I don't do very often. Now we come to the big question. Would I recommend this unit? In review, I have a fair bit of experience with these types of bread makers, but even still, my results over 3 tries varied. The 2 main selling points of these units, as touted by the manufacturer in the collapsible stirring paddle and the fruit and nut dispenser, seem not quite ready for prime time. And that is not just my opinion, as numerous online reviews bear witness to. The truly unfortunate aspect of these failings is that the grief endured by the consumer is so easily avoidable by simply including an optional rigid stirring paddle and making it clear from the outset that the fruit and nut dispenser has limited capacity. So no, I cannot recommend this unit. Well, we've come to the end of another video. I hope you will consider subscribing, and as always, I hope to see you next time.
When stars won't shine for you, and your dreams turn black and blue, on those dark nights you'll be alright, I'll be right there with you. Together we'll see it through. When stars won't shine for you, and your dreams turn black and blue, on those dark nights you'll be alright, I'll be right there with you. Together we'll see it through.